Well, we're excited to go into the 2015 season on the tail of what has been 2 very successful years for us. This past season, second round NCAA tournament appearance again, first ever first-team All-American for the program. And really, as the head coach of this program, I'm excited because I returned 6 of those 7 players. And the Pac-12 will be a battle, as it always is. It's the toughest conference in the country, and we're expecting to have to really be tested and really press ourselves to not just meet the expectations, but actually surpass them. So, for us, we have a pretty hefty non-conference slate on purpose, and the first couple weekends of play are serving to help us get ready for Pac-12 play, and also for our players to really help develop. I've got a number of players in my roster that have pretty lofty goals beyond a Pac-12 championship, even a national championship. Many are playing with the USA national team programs. Many have designs on professional careers. So the only way in volleyball that you get these players developed is you play against the best. And we're very confident in what we have as a team, and we're excited to get going. We report tomorrow, and we actually train at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. We're the only program in the country that has done that for the last 5 years, and it's become our standard preseason training facility. So we go down there for a week, and women's volleyball is interesting. We report August 9th and we play August 28th. So that's a really quick turnaround to get lineups in, all the individual development pieces set and coaches ready to go. And for us, we open up at home with 3 top 25 opponents. So there is no time to ease into things. We're ready to go, and everyone is excited to get going tomorrow afternoon.
Coach, the general tendency in a lot of programs is when you're playing in a conference as tough as the Pac-12 is to kind of lighten up a little bit on your non-conference schedule, get some wins under your belt. That doesn't seem to be your philosophy. Why do you go in this direction?
I have a responsibility to these players. They've all come here when we're sitting in recruiting conversations in my office. I ask them, what are you coming for? And it's to win a national championship. So to do that, we have to make sure that our team is prepared completely. And it's, a little bold. Some may have other words for it. But the level of play in the Pac-12 is such that if you don't challenge your team early and you wait until the conference season, you might fall and have some losses that you can't recoup, and your team won't actually be tested. So for us, with the team that we have, the level of experience, this is a pretty tough slate for anybody, but it's balanced as well in the last two seasons or 2 weeks of non-conference play. It's our job to make sure that we make sense RPI-wise, and we've been continuing to build that way, but really it's about understanding how to play at the highest possible level and then actually doing it over and over. Because when we get into Pac-12 play, we'll play 2 top 10, top 15 opponents back to back or twice a week. And the only way you prepare for that type of level and the ability to play 2 and 3 weekends into postseason play is to try it. And, if we're going to err, we'll err in non-conference versus some of those very, very important conference matches.
Can you talk about the importance of these 3 players sitting next to you?
Absolutely. So the players next to me represent the whole rebuilding and rebirth of Colorado volleyball over the last, what will be 4 years for the 2 on the end. The program has always had strong history and strong tradition. We had to reach back a little bit, but when we started bringing in players of their caliber, the program started changing. And the real reason is because good players want to play with other good players. They're very like-minded. Like I said, everybody here is committed in wanting to win a championship, be it a Pac-12 championship, a national championship. And to do that, you have to have an entire group of players. So all of the young ladies next to me have come in, made their mark on the program. They're all starters for me. They all take huge leadership roles, and it's not an accident that they were all selected just this past June to go play in the collegiate national team. So, not only are they individually some of the best players in the Pac-12 and in the country, they also, do a fantastic job of leading this program to make sure everybody else that's playing with them sees and thinks, and most importantly, plays the same way.
Liz, you spoke on the 4 girls that made the USA Collegiate National Team and just that experience that all 4 of them had. How do you hope that transfers over to you guys' fall season? And I'll actually ask Alexis the same thing a little bit about that experience and just kind of how you feel that'll help you guys.
Sure, Lex, you go first and I'll fill in.
Okay, well, being able to participate in the collegiate national team this year was a really good experience. You got to play with high-level performance, like from all girls, it really was every day go in the gym and just, play as hard as you can. I dug balls that I didn't know I can dig. I was setting, I was hitting, and it would make you a smarter player overall. So when you come back into the gym, for all of us, like, our level of play picked up a lot. Like, so now we're trying to push everybody else in that same direction, where we're all come in every day playing to the best of our ability and are able to, play all out every day, like every practice.
Nicole, you talked a little bit about this is your last year, where the program was when you got here, and especially since you're from Boulder, maybe even the program, you could speak probably a little bit about the program even before that and how special it is and where you think you're going to go this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very special. I actually can't even believe it's my last year here. It really flew by. But Alexis and I, as seniors, we came here because we wanted to build a program, and the program was, mediocre when we got here, and, we really wanted to push that, and get us on the national map. In the past 2 years, we've definitely done that. And it's been challenging. It's been fun. I've had the best experiences of my life here playing. And so going into one last year, it just really means a lot to play in front of, my hometown for one last time. It's kind of crazy, but it should be a really good year. Really excited to get started.
Liz, could you talk a little bit about our incoming freshmen? We've got a group of 6 that you are bringing in tomorrow.
Sure. So we have, a larger class than we brought in the last few years, and they're pretty funny because if you just look at them, you have 4 that are right around 6'4" to 6'6", and then you have 2 that are 5'4", 5'9". So such is the case with women's volleyball. You have a front line players that are, there's a lot of length, a lot of size, and then we have some very feisty, aggressive, little ones. The smaller ones that I'm mentioning are Abby DeGosta, who is a Colorado player. She's just up the road, right outside of Niwot there, and played at Fossil Ridge. And the other is Gabby Carter-Samuels, Northern California player, played for Vision Volleyball Club, which is one of the top clubs, in the nation. They perennially compete for the championship. And then the 4 taller players I was talking about are Taylor Yoakum, who we announced in November. She's from Baroda, Michigan, 6'4". She's an outside and an opposite for us. And Nagedi Abu is a player that we picked up late. We're excited about her. She's 6'4" as well. She plays in the middle from Riverside, California. And we have Aiden Lee, who is actually the only international player we have on our roster at this point. She's from Canada, from Kelowna, British Columbia, and she actually reported in January. So she spent a spring semester here to kind of get acclimated and start training, improving physically, and she's doing well. And then the last player we're adding is Zuri Smith, who is from South Carolina, and she will be joining the team tomorrow. And she actually is an early admit. She's graduated a year early and come to join us, and she's 6'5" and plays in the middle and the outside and pretty much all 3 front row positions. So, I mentioned the 2 smaller players, defensive players, are liberos. Well, the one sitting next to me doesn't look like a little teeny tiny libero, and that's kind of the difference. Sierra is 6 foot.
Yeah,
about-ish. So it's interesting that, when we're bringing all different types of players in different positions, what Alexis talked about with the competitiveness in our gym, it's at an all-time high in a really healthy way. As coaches, we've had to be very patient. We can't train them in the summer. We can't watch them. We can't do anything, but you can tell. You can tell when you see them engage. You can tell when you see them, coming in and out of the training room. They're chomping at the bit and they're ready to go. And you guys can attest to that more than me. You've been in the gym all summer, but that level of competition and ability to compete and ability to push each other is what makes the difference with teams in positions that we're in right now. We're in a good spot. We're pleased with what we're doing. We're not nearly satisfied. To make that jump to that next level, we have to have this in our gym every day. We have to have players going at it. We have to have, young players coming in and trying to earn their keep and earn their spots. And we have older players that are leading the program, making decisions for the team and making sure everybody's moving in the right direction. So if all those things go in line, we're going to have a really fun season, and everyone's going to enjoy watching it, and we'll be able to take the next step as a program.
Sierra, talk about it a little bit. You go right out of the chute down to Colorado Springs. Talk about, you've been through that experience a few times, and how important is that team building, kind of getting away from campus, being around that atmosphere with the team early?
I think it's huge. Obviously, playing in the Olympic Training Center, it's a great environment, completely distraction-free. It's like the highest level atmosphere, honestly, that you could play in. And I think as far as like team bonding goes, it's just like an opportunity for us all to get really close. We're all like staying in the same rooms and hanging out all the time, spending a bunch of time together. Meanwhile, getting in a lot of really, really good practice and training. So I think it's huge. I think the past 2 years, it's paid huge dividends for us. I know, especially last year, we had a really, really high level training block down there. And I know we were able to use that and translate it over into season play and stuff.
What do you think you need to do to get that one more point at the end of the year to get into that second round or the second weekend of the NCAA tournament? I mean, is it all in the summer?
This is a good question, actually.
On that 1 point, I mean, does it kind of eat at you a little bit in the summer?
I think everyone should answer this. It'll be interesting to hear.
I'll start.
It's a good one.
It does eat at you, especially since the last 2 points of that Colorado game was mine. So, yeah, when I look over those videos and things, it's constantly replaying in your head. And the one more point, don't cheat yourself. Don't get over yourself. Don't do nothing dramatic. Just be able to play smart and be able to play all around every single time. So for me, yeah, it's very motivating when you go through those games and those matches, and the only way you can get over it is by pushing all your teammates to help you out along with helping yourself out.
I would agree. It really does eat at you. I really think something that we took away from that match, though, was there's no other atmosphere or game where you're going to feel more pressure than that. And so since we are returning a lot of girls that were playing in that atmosphere, we now understand, okay, that is the most pressure we'll ever feel. And now that we know that, we understand, okay, what kind of pressure and do we need to put on ourselves in practice and on ourselves day in and day out, practicing or in games or whatever it may be. I think it just brings a lot more focus to each one of us and forces us to push each other to make sure that we get into that second weekend.
I completely agree with what they both said. It definitely eats at you. Definitely replay that game in my head a lot. But a big thing that we've been emphasizing, especially with the younger girls just in the summer, is that we need to not cut corners, whether it be in conditioning, open gym, especially when we start getting into practice, because when we cut corners is where we miss that extra inch that could propel us over the edge to whether we win the game or whether we lose the game. So we're really just trying to instill that mindset into everybody's head that we can't cut corners. You got to go hard all the time, and you got to just fight for that extra inch all the time.
So I'll share a little insight into this group. So what we're referencing is the last match that this group of players played was the second round match up in Fort Collins. So valiant match, great battles, excellent for volleyball in our state. We go down 2 sets and we fight all the way back in and end up in the heartbreaker losing 16-14 to our friends up the road there. And we come back to campus, do what we need to do to regroup as a program. And I walk into the locker room at some point later, when the kids have all been dismissed, and then they come back in and start training on their own. And on the mirror, unbeknownst to me, actually, our lady that cleans up the locker room, she said, "Coach, I didn't know if I should take this off." So what are you talking about? So I walk in there, and they put it up there themselves, 14-16. And with a little motivational piece. And just as a head coach of a program, and I share this with my coaching staff, that's the mentality, that's the mindset. Those are the things that we can do thousands of repetitions in whatever skill. Those things you don't train. That innate competitiveness, when you ask them the question, you saw that kind of wry smile, then nobody is happy until we win a championship. And we understand it. And it's not, an obsession. It's understanding what we're here for and going about our business a certain way every single day. And we're very confident. We're certain that we'll be able to do this. We just have to make sure we're doing it together and that we work harder than anybody else because we have a lot of the components. We just need to make sure that we put ourselves in a position for Lady Luck to shine smiling on us.
Coach, how do you recruit Oh, okay. How do you recruit against the top schools? And maybe one or two of the ladies would explain how they decided to come to Colorado.
Sure. First thing is you get a really good recruiting coordinator who will live on the road and show up in every gym that you need to show up to. And for volleyball recruiting, it happens so early now that we can't directly contact players. We have to go through their club coaches and high school coaches, so it matters how many times a player is seeing the schools that are interested in them show up in the gym. So our recruiting coordinator is Ryle Jade, and I don't think I see him at all in the spring. He does his job well. He's out every weekend recruiting, and he's recruiting not players that are juniors and seniors, but having to watch freshmen and sophomores, because that's how quickly players are committing in college volleyball. It's actually sped up since they committed, because all of these players committed fairly early. Top-level players are committing at sophomore year, beginning of their junior year, and you have to position yourself well. I know whenever I say that, everybody kind of wide-eyed sits back, and it's true. It is a little faster than anybody cares, and it's just the nature of the game right now. But we make sure that we recruit early enough, that it's consistent enough, and that we're really open about it. We'd like to get them to campus, because it's a really hard thing to say no to this place with these people. It's a really special place. We believe this. It's the best place in the country to go to school and to field a team and to compete. And sometimes you don't understand that till you actually get here on campus and you see this wonderful place, great education, and we're just really persistent. We don't take no for an answer very well. So, but they'll share, their own recruiting anecdotes, whatever they have.
Well, for me, I visited 13 schools before choosing Colorado, and one of the bigger factors was if I was to go to the school, would I still want to go if volleyball was taken out of the picture? Which was, of course, Colorado was that school. As soon as I got here, that was the main focus. But another factor was also coach. She didn't have Ryle back then. It was her. Every time I saw her in the gym, it made me, more curious about Colorado, just what it's about, what they want to do. And rebuilding the program for me I've always been on that type of team. So I was all for it, as she was explaining it, and just to know that I could be a part of something big. So that was one of my main focuses as well, rather than going to a big-time school, where you might get to play your freshman year, or you don't get to play until your junior year. It's like you're kind of sitting out, getting better, but you're not really getting all the playing time you want to get. So I thought I should come here and start right off and just get better and better as soon as I get here.
So from my experience, I'm a setter, and so in volleyball, setters are one of the earliest positions to commit. And so, freshman, sophomore year, start taking visits kind of all over the place. I really wanted to go out of state because, it's cool and it's flashy and there's a lot of big schools and it's something different. But I still always had Colorado in the back of my mind since I am from Boulder, and I did grow up a Buff. I mean, I did come to the volleyball matches, when I'm 10 years old. And so it's, part of the reason of the decision for me to come here was, okay, I get to play in front of my hometown. I get to see my family, when I want to, and that's something that's really important to me. And I get to, like Alexis said, get to rebuild a program, which was a huge piece of it as well. So, I really wanted to go out of state, and then a week or so before committing, I just realized, my heart is home and I need to stay here, and I have business to take care of here, and I'm really glad that I made that choice, and I'm really excited to have one more year here.
Yeah, similar to Nicole, I am a Colorado native. Always wanted to go out of state. I actually was originally committed to University of Texas San Antonio, and kind of same thing. It just came down to it, and I realized I love Colorado. I want to stay home. I want to play in front of my family and my friends. I want to represent my home state. And I think most importantly, building a program was a huge thing for me. As Alexis said, it's awesome to be able to go to a school that is like a top dog school, but like she said, you might get to play, you might not, and I don't know, I really just wanted to come to a school where I was going to be able to be a part of something special and like bigger than myself, and just, I think in the past few years that I've been here, I've really been able to help like be a factor in turning this program around.